good afternoon, good evening. How are you all? Welcome to another episode of Sol y Punto. This is my little knitting podcast where I talk about all things fiber, natural dyeing, herbalism, and anything else that's interesting in the knitting and crafting world. My name is Nicole. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Thyme Weaver. I am a New Yorker living in the south of Spain, and my podcast is bilingual. So if you're interested in listening to this talk in Spanish, just head on over to the other video and you can hear the same thing but in Spanish. Although obviously I'm not a native speaker, so I definitely make a lot of mistakes, but that's okay. We're all just trying. We're all learning. So today I wanted to come and say Happy New Year. It is now January 2022. There are some magpies around me, which makes me very, very happy. I hear them. Where? I don't see them. I saw one before that led me to this tree that I'm using as a tripod. Yeah, so 2022 is going to be a beautiful year, and I look forward to all the knits and all the friends and all of the things. So today we will talk about all of the gift knits that I sent out in December. We'll talk about the advents that I took part in or gave to other people. We will talk about finished objects like this sweater that I'm wearing and finally finished. We'll talk about new sweaters that I cast on, some really fun knit-alongs, and then some awesome offerings for the springtime, and so much. I have so much I want to talk about, so many things to say, so thanks for being here. And why don't you get yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or a beer or a glass of wine or just your knitting, that's fine, or whatever you're doing if you're washing the dishes. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so first I want to talk about all of the gift knits and all of the things that happened in December 21, because that was really special. We had our TTT Advent, which I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated and had an advent calendar that Aida and I put together, because it was so much fun going back and forth with our ideas and just trying to make everything like super special and super perfect. And I really think that it's ugly to say, but I think it was a super success. Like, it was so beautiful. I loved the advent that we created. It was really nice. The yarns that she dyed naturally, all of the colors were just spectacular. And our friend Marianela, who has a podcast also, created a video tutorial for a pattern to go with those 300 grams of yarn. So if you have 300 grams of fingering weight yarn and want to knit this like shawl, it's like a big scarf, you know, it's like a wrap type thing, and it's beautiful and it's super, super easy. Obviously the video tutorial is in Spanish, but I think just looking at it, it has like a lace pattern down the middle, and it's called Bufanda Vida, which is, I really like the name. It has a lot of significance, and I think it's a really simple, fun knit. So you could check that out. I'm sure you can, even if you don't speak Spanish, it's really easy to follow the steps. And once you learn the lace chart, you could just go. And that's what we wanted. We wanted something that people could just like knit like when they're with family or just doing holiday things, just something that would be like really comforting and relaxing and beautiful. So that is available, and we want to say thank you to Marianela for putting that together, because she is a rock star. And I also participated in Lanuja, who has a podcast in Spanish as well. She did an advent exchange, so I exchanged. Sorry, camera was full, I had to delete some things. So I was saying how I exchanged some gifts with other people here around Spain, and it's just such a fun experience to open up a gift every day in the beginning of December until the solstice or until Christmas or whatever you celebrate. And I really loved it. Like, it's such a nice thing to wake up every morning. Every morning I was like, oh, another gift I get to open, and it was so exciting. I got project bags, handmade, I got teas, I got yarn, so many things. And I don't know, it's really nice to have like a knitting group, even if it's just virtual. Like, we had like a WhatsApp group where we were like talking and laughing, and it's just so fun to be in community with other knitters because we understand, and we can talk about all these like crazy little details about fiber and everything, and we understand each other, and the muggles don't, you know, you can't talk about this stuff with everyone. So to have people who are just as freaky as you are is really nice and really comforting. So I loved that. I also had Marianela Galo, I knit along with Merche of TeConLana, who also has a podcast. I don't know if I mentioned Lanuja's podcast, who's the one who organized the Advent exchange. But anyway, so Merche and I organized also like a Telegram group where we were all talking about the gifts we were knitting for people. And yeah, it's really fun to be in community, and it's good because when you're knitting things like little gift knits and stuff, I made a bunch of those little birds as ornaments, I made a hat, I made socks, I made lots of things for the family and friends and sent them out. So I'm going to include a video here of all of those things which already are in their new homes. So hopefully they're being enjoyed by those who have received them. And yeah, so I'm going to leave that video right here. And then more things. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this Cuello Salteña, which I made with one skein of DK and some amazing mohair. In the end, it was going to be for me, but Christmas is around the corner, and apparently my little brother has been borrowing my mother's Cuello Salteña. So this one is going to him, even though it's so soft and I really want it for myself. But he likes to go fishing early in the morning and it gets really cold. So I hope that he loves it. If he doesn't, he can send it back and I will gladly take it. But isn't it beautiful? This is Tíntica's Seda Silk Merino and Heather and Hobbs Silk Mohair. So it is absolutely glorious. But it's going to my little bro. I think he'll like it. I hope so. And while I'm here, I will show you this hat, which is Marianela's design. It is the Trega Hat. And this is also going to be sent off as a gift for a dear friend, for her daughter. Because for me it's a little bit too small. And I think that her daughter will really like it. I have 2 pom-poms that I'm going to send both of them, and if she likes them, she can use them. If not, not. But I think it's a really cool hat. This is Mandragora yarn and Marianela's pattern. Super cute. Okay, and these, I have 2, but these sock blockers are from my sister-in-law. Aren't they adorable? With their diente de león, dandelion. And these socks I knit for my aunt, but it turns out that her daughter, my cousin, is pregnant, is going to have a baby in March, a little baby Pisces. So I thought these would be perfect socks for my little cousin. And she can wear them when she's having her baby, or not, I don't know. But I'm giving them to her anyway, because they're beautiful and I think she'll like them. All of the Christmas presents. Oh, and I just wrapped up the little bird that I made for my mom. But I will put a picture here of a little bird that I made with a free pattern called the Bluebirds of Happiness, because my mom has a bluebird and now she'll have a little ornament for that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, I'm not really gonna stand up because I'm like super comfortable, but I will stand up a little bit. So this is like a crop, so only to there. This is a crop sweater that I have made with a rustic Spanish yarn called Dlana. And a Moroccan yarn that a friend of mine gave me, this yellow one. And I started knitting this years ago and it was just like sitting there. I had never finished it and I needed to finish it. So I said, you know what? It's gonna just be cropped and short sleeves, and that's it. It looks like soldotna. I didn't follow the pattern, I just kind of made it up, but inspired by the soldotna because that was like super in fashion when I started this. And yeah, I'm actually really glad that I didn't finish the sleeves. I didn't finish the sleeves because it's very, very thick and dense, you know, and so it keeps me really warm, but I have movement in my arms for knitting and dancing and whatever I want to do. So I could just wear it like over a dress, and it is perfect. So this, as you can see, it was supposed to be like a high neck, but I feel like it looks a little bit weird like that because of this roll right here, because my tension on stockinette is so much looser than my tension in color work, which is something that I really need to work on. I know people say change the size of the needle, but I feel like I did that and that didn't even work. I don't know. So that's why I like all over color work patterns, because then it all goes together. So I roll this down so that like it looks a little bit like on purpose. I don't know, that's fine. So this was a yellow from Morocco, and the blue was naturally dyed with woad. And then the like brownish color was a yarn that my friend Inka Yarns had naturally dyed like when she first started dyeing yarn, and then she gave it to me because she's like, Nicole, you love rustic yarn. And then I tried to over dye it with pokeberries and it didn't work, so it's just like this brown color, but I think it's pretty. It's a nice combination. And yes, I'm happy with this. I finished this probably in the middle of December. I remember I wore it on my birthday probably, and I'm happy to be done with that. I also finished a hat. So finally I have a hat. So I have this red hat, which you will see in the next segment. And the red hat has been with me for like more than a decade, and I love that hat. It's the only hat that I ever wear, but I keep wanting to make a new one, and the hats that I knit never fit me, they never work out, and finally I made this one, copying it like exactly, and it worked. But I keep losing it. I found it again this morning inside this sweater. I guess I had taken off everything together and then the hat got stuck inside, and yeah, but I keep losing this hat, and I told myself, Nicole, write down the number of stitches so that if you lose it again, you can re-knit it. With Camaros, this is the Camaros Fluffy, the one that I use for my goat pants, the brown. And then the pink, it's like a very light pink. People say makeup color, I don't know, it's like a light pinkish rosy color, I don't know. That's Surreal Paca from Cat, and so I mixed them together to make like a really dense, warm, fluffy fabric because it's very cold in Granada. Not in the sun. In the sun it's beautiful. So yeah, so I'm going to tell you right now the number of stitches that I cast on was, I don't know, I have to count. And I used a needle that was, I don't know, I need to look. Pretty sure it's like 4.5. So it's a very dense fabric. Just started off with the garter stitch, then stockinette. I didn't do any decreases. I just like because I was copying my other hat, which I love, I just put like a string in here, like I don't know, I even know what string I used. I could probably look. Something. And then pulled it really tight, and that's the hat. And I'm super happy with it because it's just like my other one. So I need to copy down the recipe so that I can re-knit it if I lose this, because I don't know what's wrong with me, but I keep losing all my hats. Well, my hat. I don't lose the red one. The red one is with me forever. What else? I also finished my, well, not mine, but the painted brick sweater that I knit for my boyfriend, and that is beautiful. I love it. He has only worn it once. I told him if he's not gonna wear it, I'm gonna take it over because that is just too beautiful to sit in the closet. He's like, I don't wanna like waste it, I wanna savor it. I'm like, yeah, but use it because the wool is meant to be worn. So, but I will insert a picture here if I can get a picture with him in it, or if not, I think I have a picture of myself wearing it, because for me it's fine. I love it, so I'm gonna wear that. And more things. Okay, now we're gonna jump to another segment where you can see my red hat. Okay. So here we are inside of a magnolia tree. If you don't know this tree and its amazing big white blossoming flower, highly recommend finding one somewhere near where you live because it smells so good. I believe it blossoms in June, and you can, here in Granada we have a park like full of them, and there's lots of magnolias all over the city, so when they start to flower you can smell it all around the city and it's awesome. It's like a really intense, unique smell. I love it. Some people don't like it, but to each his own. Anyway, so I'm here to talk about a really fuzzy, wonderful project that I'm working on. So this is a color work pattern. Let me show you first the floats. Oh my god, look at this fuzziness. Look at that. Okay, so this is a pattern, and I've got my little stitch marker. This is a pattern by Marmelade. This is the yoke. This is a pattern by Marmelade, who is a designer that I heard of through my little Telegram group of other knitters, which I'll talk about later. But they said that she has decided to leave social media, and she actually put all of her patterns up for free. But her exit, and this was all brought on by like wanting to get off of the screens and get it, I don't know, I think she was having some dealing with like mental health and trying just to take care of herself, and decided that she wanted to take a break. But her patterns are absolutely amazing, so I really hope that she comes back because she has so many beautiful, stunning pieces like this one. I mean, maybe it doesn't look like much now, but I think it's really cool. This is a top-down jumper, all over color work, which is something that I really like because I struggle with my tension between the color work sections and the non-color work sections. You can see right here, it's like bubbling out. I'm hoping that with blocking, it's going to get better. But, sorry, I'm in the park and people are walking by and I get a little bit embarrassed, but whatever. Podcasters do what podcasters gotta do. Anyway, so her patterns are spectacular, and this one, I mean, I'm a sucker for a good name, and this one is called Sagittaria, Sagittarius, but like in the feminine. I'm wondering if that's the name of the constellation. I don't know, but in Spanish they say Sagitario, which to me sounds masculine, so I always say that I'm a Sagittaria in the feminine, which apparently is not a correct word, but I say it anyway. And like it has the arrows, you know, of the Sagittarius. And this is yarn that was gifted to me for my birthday, this olann, which is the background color, and it's a merino single olann, which is a dyer from Ireland, I believe. Beautiful colors. This colorway is called Prairie, and my sister-in-law gifted it to me. And the fuzzy Surrey alpaca, here I can show you the balls. So this is the olann. Goes with the magnolia, does it not? It does. Ale knows me. Look at those colors. Wow, it really does go with the tree. I love the magnolia because, one, the flowers smell amazing, and also I like the name Magnolia because my closest family calls me Noli, which is a funny nickname. I kind of feel embarrassed by that name, but anyway, Noli, and so Magnolia makes me think of my nickname. And this is the Surrey alpaca. The Surrey alpaca that was gifted to me by Cat of Heather and Hops, Cat Weaver. And I was actually dreaming up this combination as I was listening to the audiobooks of The Lord of the Rings and thinking about what I could mix with this yarn that was gifted to me in December. And I was thinking about the all over brioche shawl. I'm going to put a picture here because the sample is knit with a forest green and a light pink. And so I was like, ooh, forest green and light pink. But I realized that I have so many shawls and I have no sweaters. So this year I'm all about the sweaters. I want to knit all the sweaters. So I don't know, when I saw the patterns of Marmelade and I saw this one, which was all over color work, and it was awesome, and I was like, oh, that would be a combination. I'm also really all about the fluff this year, or just now. I don't know if you follow the cadyjaxknits podcast, but they're doing a year-long knit-along called Find Your Fluff. And you can knit anything that is fluffy. And so this clearly works for Find Your Fluff. I also love like the difference in the texture. Oh, it's so pretty. I really like it. It's gonna be so warm. I'm knitting the second size. I don't know, I didn't do a gauge swatch. Did you think I did a gauge swatch? No, I didn't do a gauge swatch. But I just plan to get to the shoulders and then see where we're at, what I can do with that. Here come the gardeners. And you're like, this girl's talking to a tree. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. But Oso's here. Anyway, so I'm loving this pattern. I also wanted to show you. Oh, and I have in here. Look at these. Look at these. I should put them on. Look at these needle stoppers. Oh, it's a sunflower and a leaf. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so this is part of the gifts. Got so many beautiful gifts at Christmas time. We did a swap, an Advent swap, organized by Lanuja, which is a Spanish podcaster. And we were all put into groups, and we all sent each other like groups of, I think we were 6 people, and we sent everyone 4 gifts. Or no, we were 4 people and we sent everyone 6 gifts. I don't remember. But I got the most amazing gifts that I opened every day in December up until Christmas, and this was my little project bag, and it even has my name. And this was our group. Our group was Turrón, which is a Spanish Christmas treat, and this little project bag, and so many other gifts, which I will be showing you now, later. Anyway, so that was really fun. And it was also really fun because we had like a really sweet group and like a chat group, so we were like talking every day when we opened up our gifts, and just having the knitting community. I always say how it's so funny how much we love knitting and how we can laugh about like needles or like different things, and other people don't understand our craziness, but knitters do, and I love having that community and everything. So I'm excited about this sweater. I hope that it will fit, and I love the yarn. And what else did I want to say about that? And maybe go check out Marmelade and her work, because like I said, she has fantastic work. And I think that the issue that she has brought to light about like the stress and everything of having like a presence online is a lot sometimes. And I think that nowadays we're spending a lot of time with screens and computers and everything, and especially the next generation. I think about the kids a lot because they're just growing up with all of this stimulus all the time, and I think it's difficult and something we need to think about, talk about. So yeah, but her patterns are cool, so highly recommend that. Okay, more things. Okay, so I want to show you, now we're back again to the past, to the future, where are we, who knows, but I want to show you, I want to show you another sweater that I'm knitting. Oh my god, isn't that spectacular? So fun. I'm knitting the sleeves first because I will show you the yarn, because I only have 1 skein of this fun, colorful yarn. This is from Tanana, which is a dyer here in Granada, and my dear friend Marianela gave me this beautiful skein, and I didn't know what I would do with 1 skein of prettiness, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna mix it with Tíntica yarn. This is naturally dyed. Super secret recipe. If you want to know, just let me know. It's not that secret. But mixing these together, it's such a cool color, you know, to get this like dark grayish purpley It's really pretty. It has lots of, if you see it in person, it's really nice. And that together with this, love it. But I only have one. And actually talking with Aida, the dyer, the natural dyer, she was like, I feel like it's more interesting to have the sleeves really colorful. And if you have to like knit the rest of this in solid grayish, blackish, bluish color, the dark color, then that's okay. And I'm thinking that I can continue doing this like slip stitch pattern, but just in solid. So it'll have the texture, because this has lots of texture. I don't know if you can see. It's like with garter stitch and slip stitches, like mosaic knitting. I do have to say that I was very disappointed with the pattern. I was excited because I was listening to Lord of the Rings. I think I told you that. Now I got stuck on the second book, and now they're fighting too much. I don't like the fighting. I like the going into the forest and the magic and the trees and everything, but then the fighting, I'm like, So I just wanted something that I could just like follow a pattern. I'm always like making things up. But then I couldn't even just follow the pattern, because I was knitting, and I was like, oh yeah, now I'm gonna split for the sleeves. And I look at the pattern and it's like, no, 30 more rounds. I was like, 30 more rounds? No way, that's impossible. So I looked on Ravelry and everyone was complaining about it. This is Shifty by Andrea Mowry. I don't know if I said that. And everyone was saying that if you knit it to pattern, then the yoke is like really, really big. And I was like, oh no. So then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna just go freestyling from here on out. So that's what I'm doing. And another thing which I didn't like about the pattern, like every other size, when you're doing the increases, some of the sizes are fine, but some of the sizes say like knit 24 stitches and then do increases every 3 or something like that. And it's like, well, if you do just like 24 stitches, the yoke is going to be like lopsided. And people complained about that also in Ravelry, and apparently that was just, her response was like, that's how I had to grade it. I didn't know how to do all the sizes or something. I don't know, but I feel like that's not okay. You gotta figure it out. Anyway, so freestyling, I don't know. I'm putting the stitch markers like every decrease, which I'm getting all tangled. I think that I'm going to just take them out and remember. I think I might leave like the first one. The idea is that you put all the decreases, and then when you knit the other one, you can just go like passing them over like every time you need to do it. So you remember to do the same amount of decreases in the same places on both sides. But because I have this on hold, this on hold, and then all the stitch markers, the 2 strands of yarn, I get a little bit tangled sometimes. Look at this. This is one of my favorite little stitch markers. Look at that color. Isn't that so fun? This was part of the Advent box. This is Opalite and Blue Starstone, both of which are not naturally occurring stones. But they're so pretty. Like Opalite is like trying to be an opal, you know? But I found those stones, the Starstone is made with like quartz sand, but it was made, they say that like it was invented in the 16th century by the monks in Venice, with like copper and quartz sand in like really high temperatures. It's like making glass, you know? And I don't know, I found these like artificial stones when I was thinking about using corals, you know, because to use coral stones, they're from the ocean, and lots of people talk to me about that. So I think it's okay that you use like a man-made, yeah, anyway, so it's beautiful, but I love them. I think they have like this really cool iridescence that like makes me really happy. I love opals, but opals are extremely expensive to put on stitch markers. So all right, more things, so many things to talk about. I wanted to tell you that I'm wearing my dear friend's mitts. These mitts were a pattern that Aida of Tíntica and I designed for the Knit 3 Words Challenge. It's a really fun pattern with the Latvian braid and color work. So that pattern is available on Ravelry and Ko-Fi if anyone's interested, but they're fun to knit and they're so comfortable. I wear them every day, hoping to keep them safe and not lose them. Okay, I'm going to put a video of the view that I have from here because it is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Granada is such a nice city. Very lucky. Okay, more things. Okay, different tree, different day. Here we are once again, and I just had a few more things that I wanted to share with you all before we go on and talk about our plant of the video. So today's plant is going to be the beautiful rose, and its rose hips and its flowers and its petals and everything about the rose. So look forward to that at the end of the video. But now I just wanted to share a few more projects and a few more things and a knit along and everything. So first I have this adorable bag, which was also given to me in the Lanuja Advent swap. And in here I have another project that I will talk about in a minute. And I also have, I was writing, this is another thing that I got in my little, it says, "You're the sweetest," and it has a little cupcake and it has all the colors for writing. Yeah. Anyway, this was another thing I got in my swap, and look at this little cupcake. I wanted to bring it and show you all because look at how fun. So these look like little sprinkles, but actually you can use them for sewing. I love that idea. I think it's so cute. And if you are here and you are a Spanish speaker or understand Spanish, head on over to the video that I did with my sewing teacher because that was really fun. We recorded in her classroom, her sewing classroom, and she is the sweetest and she's awesome. So if you can understand Spanish and want to head over there and check that out, and even if you don't, check in my Ko-Fi shop. I don't know if it'll still be there, but she made the most beautiful project bag and she is offering it up for sale and has lots of other things in the works. So stay tuned for all the awesome things that Pilar is doing. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? Ooh, all right, I wanted to talk, well, I guess I will show you what's in this bag before I talk about the Sevilla Teje festival. So here's a mess. I took out the needles. So the Shifty Sweater that you saw in the last segment, first the idea was to make a Shifty inspired sweater or something similar with these yarns because I wanted to put them together in some way with like slip stitches, color work. So I just cast on and I was just gonna invent it. But then I decided, no, let's go with the pattern. But I have it off the needles because I'm going to rip it out. I did like a rolled hem. I knit twisted stitches, folded them over, knit them together, and then I did some short rows and I started some color work. But the color work here, you really wouldn't even see it. And I don't know, I didn't like the way the neck stood up, like with the color work. I don't know if you can really see. It stood up in a weird way, and I just decided to cast on in totally different yarn, a similar project. But now I know what I'm gonna do with this yarn. So we have a knitting festival here in Andalusia in April called Sevilla Teje, and there's going to be vendors and courses, and it's in the most beautiful city in the world. I know, Granada, you are a beautiful nature and a beautiful place, but Sevilla has my heart because that is where I first lived when I came to this beautiful country, and Oso is from Sevilla. He was born there. Sevilla has my heart, so to go to a yarn festival in that city, I'm so excited. So obviously I need to knit something to go there, so I'm gonna rip out this. And I'm going to use these two colors. I was thinking about making like a striped top, and then I thought, hello, why don't I do a striped version with these two yarns of my Sol y Yodo top? You know that top that has like the lace like waves? I'm gonna make that with these, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited. So I wanted to make like a knit along for all the people who want to knit something to bring to Sevilla Teje. Even if you're not going to Sevilla Teje and you just want to knit a spring top, you're also welcome to join the Azahar KAL. So Azahar is orange blossom because Sevilla in April is famous because it has streets lined with orange trees and they are in bloom and it smells amazing, and that is just something very emblematic of Seville in April. So the KAL is Azahar KAL, and you can knit anything for the spring. If you want to knit a Sol y Yodo top, that's cool, we can work on it together. If you want to knit something else to bring to the festival or to wear in your country in spring, do it, join the KAL. And for those of you who are going to Seville, I was thinking that it would be really fun also to knit little like ladybugs or flowers or oranges and orange blossoms to yarn bomb the city. Why don't we let Seville know that all of us knitters are there and like leave our mark? I love like yarn bombing like little things. Normally people take them. Like last spring or a few springs ago, I put a whole bunch of ladybugs that I crocheted around the city, and like in a few days they're all gone. Maybe like the garbage people took them down, whatever, but I'm sure they made someone smile before they disappeared. And yes, so the last thing I wanted to mention is that next week, or actually when this video comes out, it is Imbolc. Do you know what Imbolc is? Okay, so we have like Samhain, Halloween, or the winter solstice, Imbolc, Beltane, and these are like the cross holidays, no? We have the winter solstice and then the spring equinox. And so Imbolc is the midway point between winter solstice and spring equinox. So Imbolc is a special day, and that is the day we are going to launch our Florecer blooming box. So this is a collaboration with TeConLana Alejandra and Aida Tíntica. And we have been talking about this probably since August. And we're so excited. Not only is it a box of awesome stuff, but there is a community around it. It's like a creative community. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm going to make a separate video. So if you are interested and have some room in your stash for 2 skeins of beautiful yarn and want to try something new and be with other people doing something new, and you want some beautiful, awesome, exclusive stitch markers and some awesome, beautiful products from Alejandra, who has thousands of ideas. She is the creator behind the Naturally Nourishing Knit Bar, which, by the way, there's still some in the shop, and I think that after spring they're going to be discontinued for at least the summer because there's so many other things that Alejandra is doing. So get them while they're there because we don't know when they'll be back again. And yeah, so if you want to know about the blooming box and all of the awesomeness that is going to florecer, which means bloom in Spanish, then head on over to the other short little video and you can see all about that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Happy almost spring. It's already Imbolc. St. Bridget's Day. That's like, yeah, and it has to do with, I talked about it in a video last year at this time, and it has to do with the sheep and the sheep's milk and just like new birth and like all the things. So I feel like it's a really great holiday. Anyway, thanks for watching, and now I will leave you with the plant, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about the family Rosaceae, roses, which includes herbs, shrubs, and even trees. And some of them are evergreen trees. They are growing worldwide, and some of you might
not realize, but there are more than just ornamental roses or wild roses in this family. Also many edible fruits like apples, pears, apricots, plums, cherries, peaches, raspberries, loquats, which I love, strawberries, almonds, hawthorns, and even trees like rowans or shrubs or like meadowsweet. And roses, obviously, roses that you can find growing in gardens or at your local florist. I wanted to talk a little bit about wild rose, which is a beautiful flower which has 5 little petals, and it's where you can harvest and enjoy rose hips, or even the rose petals and the rose flowers. Rose is a plant that has a strong affinity towards the heart. If you think about hawthorn, which is a plant well known to take care of many different heart conditions or to strengthen the heart. And I think it's really beautiful to think about roses because many people and herbalists say that it's a combination of softness and strength. Softness and beauty because of the petals and the beautiful flowers, but also strength because most roses or hawthorns, like it says in their name, have thorns. So it's this combination, and it reminds us that softness and strength can coexist, and they must coexist. As Amber Magnolia has said, she has a beautiful podcast called Mythic Medicine, which is an audio podcast. If you haven't heard that before, I highly recommend it, and I will leave it down below in the description. But she loves rose and always talks about different rose medicine and things. Sophia Rose is another herbalist from La Abeja Herbs, and she says, the rose is one of the most ancient botanical medicines known to humans. And then they have written, rose unwinds the stuckness that is often rooted in old grief and trauma. Rose is medicine for the whole heart. And yes, rose, you can work with rose because most plants, for example, like raspberries and raspberry leaf, which is very important for as like a uterine tonic, and especially for women as they're going to go into giving birth. This plant has been used by midwives for as long as we know. And because most plants in the rose family tend to be very astringent, which means that it would tighten and contract tissues. And so this astringency is used to strengthen and to heal. So many things about the rose. I want to read to you from a blog post by Amber Magnolia Hill, who is the host of the Mythic Medicine podcast, which I referenced before. And she has a beautiful text, which she wrote about roses, and I would like to read it here for you. I will also leave the text down below so that you can look at more of her work and follow her on social media and everything, but I will read it now. So, Rose, queen of the flowers and teacher of self-love, boundaries, and the strength in softness. Rose carries the medicine of softness and strength. Of all the many ways it brings healing, one of the most important is by reminding us that softness and strength can coexist. In fact, they must coexist. Power without vulnerability isn't strength. Real strength always contains an element of vulnerable openness to life, to others, to sharing the truth of ourselves within the world. Likewise, softness without an underlying structure of strength, sureness of self, and integrity is bound to collapse in on itself, crushed under the weight of other people's demands and expectations. Alongside its silky petals are rose's sharp thorns, which remind us to keep our boundaries intact and to balance our soft openness with a strong sense of discernment between what or who to allow into our space and what or who not to. The importance of this on a person's life cannot be overstated. From the ancient Egyptians to Hippocrates to Ayurveda to Hildegard of Bingen to Nicholas Culpeper, all historical cultures, systems, people steeped in the lore and use of botanical medicines. Roses have been used and recommended for such various ailments as wounds, inflammation, women's health, stomach complaints, headaches, dizziness, grief, and heartache, and colds and flu, to name just a few. This luxurious herb works on so many different parts of the body and imbalanced tissue states because of its many healing properties. Rose is aphrodisiac, moving the blood and opening us up to the sweet sensuality of this human embodiment. Astringent, helping to tighten lax tissues. Nervine, calming the nerves. Slightly antimicrobial, as are all plants with a detectable scent due to their volatile oil content. Anti-inflammatory and cooling, making them great for sunburn, rashes, boils, stings, etc. Vulnerary, wound healing, and slightly analgesic, pain killing, among other things. Long used as a woman's medicine, rose has a lovely effect on the womb space. Physically, it is a pelvic decongestion, a blood mover, used to break up stagnation and bring warmth and movement to the area. This action, the stimulation of circulation and blood flow to the pelvis, helps to address menstrual difficulties, cystic growths, and volatile emotions, and it is also what is responsible for rose's famed aphrodisiac properties. On a more energetic level, rose reminds us of our creative nature as women who bleed and are capable of bringing life into the world. Rubbing rose oils onto the lower abdomen or drinking rosebud tea is a sweet way to honor this part of our body, where we all hold trauma and shame and pain in deep need of healing. Rose hips, the seed-bearing fruit of the plant, are one of herbalism's most beloved and oft-used remedies. They are full of antioxidant-rich bioflavonoids and high in vitamin C, and are delicious to boot. Yes, they are. I can attest to that. One of my favorite infusions. One study showed positive outcomes in blood pressure and cholesterol levels in people who had been consuming rosehip tea. Simply inhaling the intoxicating scent of rose oil creates a measurable calming effect, lowering systolic blood pressure, having a positive effect on blood oxygen saturation, and slowing down breathing. Herbalist Kiva Rose says, "There are as many varieties of rose as there are shades of green, and every kind holds some profound and therapeutic value. There's certainly some rose medicine waiting nearby you to respectfully harvest or purchase and use to heal your heart, womb, spirit, and so much more. Use it with love." So that was a reading from the website of Amber Magnolia Hill and her Mythic Medicine website and podcast. So I also wanted to talk about rose hip infusion, which is on on rotation in my home. I go through different infusions every day, and rose hips is one of my absolute favorite. So what I do is I take about a good amount. Well, I boil about a liter of water or a quart of water and about 1 ounce or 30 grams of dried rose hips, which is like a big handful. I mean, I don't really measure it out. Maybe I could or should, but I just put whatever my heart desires in the moment. And I boil the water, turn off the fire, put in the rose hips, and let it sit all night. And the next day, I strain that and drink it nice and cold, or nice and hot. It's actually very nice hot, but I like it nice and cold. It's very refreshing and delicious and full of vitamins and minerals, and it's wonderful for the heart and the soul and the palate. It's one of my most tasty infusions. And then I normally do another infusion of that because I feel like there's still more juicy goodness in those rosehip fruits. So I will maybe fill up the pot again after I've strained off the infusion, bring the water up to a boil with the rosehips now in the water, and then turn it off and let it sit for, again, I will rebrew that maybe up to 3 times because it's so yummy. And yes, I hope that you can find some rose hips to enjoy, or just some roses to look at in your local park garden. And thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed. Okay, talk to you all soon. Ciao, ciao.